come up now. What you're doing, you see, he's already out.
Oi. Oh my gosh. How did this thing get moved? The chair got moved. Oops. The thing something was in a different position slightly. What on earth? Okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giribaradhare Gopi Jana Balava Giribaradhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giribaradhare Gopi Jana Balava Giribaradhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahans Parivrajakacharyas Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Sri Sri Radha Radhanath Ki Sri Giri Govardhan Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gopremanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So yeah, we can distribute the verse sheets. And just a word of warning, there are monkeys around today. That one just went across the top of the building there, so just, watch out if your windows are open or something. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. Text 9. I just have to figure out what the meter is. Anyway, can't really tell. Tasmin bagin yo mama barat. No. Tasmin bagin yo mama batri bis. Okay. Tasmin bagin yo mama bartribe swakair dhruvam gamishyanti suhrid didrikshava aham cha tasmin bhavata bhikamaye sahopanitam paribarham arhitom tasmin bhaganyo mama bhartrabi swakair dhruvam gamishyanti surid didrik shava aham chatasmin bhavata bhikamaye sahopanitam paribarham arhitom tasmin bhaganyo mama bhartrabi swakair dhruvam gamishyanti surid didrik shava aham chatasmin bhavata bhikamaye sahopanitam paribarham arhitom tasmin bhaganyo mama bhartrabi swakair dhruvam gamishyanti surid didrik shava aham chatasmin bhavata bhikamaye sahopanitam paribarham arhitom Ladies, Ladies, Tasmin, in that sacrifice, Bhaginya, sisters, Mama, my, Bhartribi, with their husbands, Swakai, their own, Dhruvam, surely, Gamashyanti, will go, Surit Didrikshava, desiring to meet the relatives. Aham, I, Cha, and Tasmin, in that assembly. Bhavata, with you, Lord Shiva. Abhikamaye, I desire. Saha, with. Upanitam, given. Paribarham, ornaments of decoration. Arhitom, to accept. Translation. I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is a woman's nature to want to decorate herself with ornaments and nice dresses and accompany her husband to social functions, meet friends and relatives, and enjoy life in that way. This propensity is not unusual, for woman is the basic principle of material enjoyment. Therefore, in Sanskrit, the word for woman is stri, which means one who expands the field of material enjoyment. In the material world, there's an attraction between woman and man. This is the arrangement of conditional life. A woman attracts a man, and in that way, the scope of material activities involving house, wealth, children, and friendship increases. And thus, instead of decreasing one's material demands, one becomes entangled in material enjoyment. Lord Shiva, however, is different. Therefore, his name is Shiva. He is not at all attracted by material enjoyment, although his wife Sati was the daughter of a very great leader and was given to him by the request of Brahma. Lord Shiva was reluctant, but Sati, as a woman, the daughter of a king, wanted enjoyment. She wanted to go to her father's house, just as her other sisters might have done, and meet them and enjoy social life. Here, she specifically indicated that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. She did not say that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her husband, because her husband was callous about all such matters. He did not know how to decorate his wife and take part in social life, because he was always in ecstasy with thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic system, a daughter is given a sufficient dowry at the time of her marriage, and therefore Sati was also given a dowry by her father, and ornaments were included. It is also the custom that the husband gives some ornaments, but here it is particularly mentioned that a husband, being materially almost nothing, could not do so. Therefore she wanted to decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. It was fortunate for Sati that Lord Shiva did not take the ornaments from his wife and spend them for ganja. Haribol. Because those who imitate Lord Shiva in smoking ganja exploit everything from household affairs. They take all of their wives' property and spend on smoking, intoxication, and similar other activities. Okay. Tasmin baganyo mama barcher besukayar, Dhruvam gamishyanti surid didrik shava, aham chatasmin bhavatabi kamaye, sahopanitam paribarham arhitum. I think, this is Sati, of course, speaking, the wife of Shiva and daughter of Daksha, who is the one who's having the big sacrifice. I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands, just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father, and go there with you to participate in that assembly. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachadeshtarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchikapaturibhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha. Paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, so it's not criticism as such, but it's just pointing out, I would say, a general sort of principle, general sort of fact, or what's the word? Oh, I don't know. Just a general sort of happening type of thing. Because not all ladies are equal. Not all men are equal. Not all people are equal. Not all living entities. Of course, on the spiritual platform, there are grounds for a certain type of equality in a very broad sense. That we're all spirit souls, aham brahmasmi. If you just leave it at that, then from the most lowly unicellular entity up to Lord Brahma, we're all equal. We're all equal. If you, on that most extremely fundamental level. But when you get into it on the spiritual level, then of course everyone's an individual. Each one of us has our own relationship with Krishna. And there are different types of relationships. And there are many subtypes of the main types of different relationships. It's really a very variegated situation. So these things have to be taken into consideration. Yes. And even we've mentioned before, it's there in a purport in the 13th chapter. I won't try and find it. 13th or 14th chapter of the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Sanatana Goswami refers to a term used in the actual Sanskrit of the verse, which is, what is it, gunakyam or gunas, guna meaning quality, nature, like that. And he makes the point, and it really is just a very interesting point, that Lord Krishna, he is merciful to everyone. And Lord Krishna has many qualities, just a vast number of qualities. And, in a sense you can say, gunatmana, yeah. In a sense you can say that that's what makes Krishna interesting. If a person is sort of, dull and just, they specialize in one-word answers to questions, like either yes or no, and they're just like that. They don't really have depth to their character. Then they're not very attractive, generally. Maybe if they have lots of money, but that's that's then a quality which makes them interesting. So now Krishna, I'm actually looking at the verse here, it's 10th canto chapter 14 verse 7, where Lord Krishna is described as, or addressed as, really, Gunatmana, Gunatma, or Gunatmana, let me just see. Gunatmana, the possessor of all superior qualities. So, Srila Sanatana Goswami, let me just read this here briefly. Srila Sanatana Goswami explains that Lord Krishna is Gunatma, the soul of all superior qualities, because he gives them life. For example, one may discuss in an abstract way such qualities as generosity, intelligence, and mercy, but they come to life only when a living person exhibits them. Thus Lord Krishna is Gunatma because he descends to the material world and re-establishes religious principles by exhibiting all godly qualities in himself and inspiring them in others. Yes, so then he goes on to say, and this is the particular point I wanted to address, Srila Sanatana Goswami further explains that the Lord manifests a specific quality for the benefit of each living entity. Just think about that. Since there are innumerable living entities within the confines of the material creation, the Lord manifests infinite qualities. Thus, every conditioned soul can appreciate the Supreme Lord in a particular way. Do you get the idea? You follow the idea? The idea is that Krishna, he has so many unlimited qualities, and so many of them are perceived, experienced, they're manifested to so many living entities, or maybe all living entities, like his beauty is one of his unique qualities. The degree of beauty is just unique, truly unique. And generally, all living entities in the spiritual world, they can perceive that. Everyone is perceiving Krishna as being just most incredibly beautiful. And his mercy, this is another quality which is generally perceived, at least in the spiritual world. It's perceived by everyone. Everyone sees, maybe at different ways at different times, but everyone generally perceives his mercy. But there, Srila Sanatana Goswami is making the point that Lord Krishna, he has so many qualities that he reserves, you could say, he reserves one particular quality for each and every individual living entity, which is only revealed to that living entity, only to Himmalata Devi Dasi, and not to Bonola, just say. But he manifests one to you, which he doesn't manifest to her also, or to anyone else. It goes way beyond our capacity to understand, let alone appreciate. So, yes, this is the thing here, that qualities are there. Qualities are there in characteristics are there in different living entities, and there's huge variety. That's what we're saying. There's huge variety. And ultimately, you even with identical twins, you'll find, if you get to know them, that there are differences. They're not just, copies of each other, just total copies. They're individuals. Even if they're identical, but even physically, what to speak of psychologically, physically, if you really get to know them and study them physically, you'll see they also look somewhat different, but you have to look to see. I noticed that, I've mentioned before, I noticed that with Jananivas Prabhu and the late Pankajangri Prabhu. He's passed away, but they were identical twins. Just, you get twins and they're not identical, although they're born at exactly the same time, but then you get some, they're just so identical. And they were like that. That I used to, I knew Pankajangri, we joined at the same time in London, and I didn't know Jananivas Prabhu so well at all. And I battled when one of them would walk up to me. I battled to understand who was who. And on a few occasions, I made the mistake of addressing one with the other's name. Yeah, and he said, oh, actually, I'm, the other one. It happened. And you know what I did eventually? I noted the types of watches they had. And I'm completely serious. I'm totally serious. I noted one would have a certain type of watch, the other would have, quite a different type. No kidding. So variety is there, and I'm pointing that out because here Srila Prabhupada is making a very general statement about ladies. But not all ladies are the same. And, you get, and I know, not many, but I do know a few, who are extremely austere. They're really extremely austere. And they wouldn't fit into this sort of characterization or general description that Srila Prabhupada's given here. But still, having said that, there's a lot of truth in it. Like, I'll give you an example. Maybe you'll think it's an unfair example, but it's an example. Is here we have sitting 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 men, but 5 of us temple resident men and, X number 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of the temple resident ladies. And it's interesting, there's more ladies here in the class than men. Anyway, but look at the men. Other than me, they're all wearing the same clothes. Oh, except Swarup Damodar Prabhu, he has a sort of lightly beige kurta. And actually all of you have the same color masks on even. But you're all wearing white. And the same. That's the same, isn't it? I mean, you could say, and some people do say, it's a uniform. Yeah. I've got my saffron-colored one, but, if you get other, like sannyasis, brahmacharis, then you'll think that we're all wearing a uniform, because we sort of are in a sense. But if we look at the ladies, we see the variegatedness of clothing and the presence in some cases of ornaments. Hare Krishna. Don't mind me saying this. I'm just pointing out a reality. If any of you want to shave your heads like Mother Hemalata for that matter, and just wear, you do get elderly ladies, generally older or elderly, they just wear white and they shave their heads. But it's not a large number even of the elderly ladies. So, according to what Prabhupada says here, it would indicate or tend to indicate a greater tendency towards, sort of decoration or, wanting to dress nicely and colorfully, attractively, or something along those lines. What do you think? No comment. All right. We'll leave it at that. So, anyway, that's a deep subject too. It's not so simple. I mean, Prabhupada's put it like that, and it's something to be understood and recognized. And, to whatever degree it's an anartha, if it's an anartha, or to whatever degree it may be, it should be recognized. Should be recognized. And care should be taken with it, that ladies don't, get too much into these things, fancy clothes and fancy jewelry, and you know what I mean? Of course you know what I mean. Yeah. It is, shall we say, it's okay. And Prabhupada not just permitted it, but Prabhupada encouraged that the ladies be able to wear, pleasant clothes, different clothes, types of saris and things as they're inclined, and some jewelry and so on. But you don't find so many men with jewelry. Yamaraj has earrings. Anyway, Hare Krishna. In my youth, I tell you what, in my youth, you never find a man with jewelry. Earrings, you're kidding. Oh my Lord. But anyway, these things have entered the male gender. But the thing is this, and this is what Prabhupada, and this is the point in regard to Sati herself. And the thing is that, at least in her case, it's really true. She's really attracted to these things in this type of way. And the point ultimately is, it's going to lead to her destruction, actually. Yeah. Not just sort of, that, well, she's a lady, ladies do these things. Okay, that's all right. But it's going to lead to her destruction, because she just can't free herself from the feelings. She's expressing herself a little more clearly than in the previous verse. That she really wants to go. She's not as polite about it as yesterday. If you like, if you want to go, it's like, if you want to go, well, I'll go with you then. But no, she's more sort of out front about it, that she really wants to decorate herself with ornaments given by her father. And it's interesting, isn't it interesting? I imagine you picked it up, that Srila Prabhupada states something about that statement of hers, that I want to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father. Srila Prabhupada develops that point in a really kind of, it's a pretty strong way, which is not directly mentioned in the verse itself. You noticed that? Yeah, I think it was pretty obvious that she's saying, I want to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father. She's indirectly saying, you have not given me any ornaments. So it's a sort of veiled criticism, or, kind of somewhat negative type of evaluation of her otherwise very respected and dear husband. Because as Prabhupada says here, that Lord Shiva, he was callous about all such matters. And then Prabhupada then develops that point, his callousness or his disinterest in such things. Prabhupada says that, what does he say? Oh gosh, anyway, that something to the effect that Lord Shiva didn't know about these things. Like some brahmacharis who after, a little later on, they become married, their wives complain. I mean, I've had a number of them complain to me that he doesn't understand what I need, what is needed for household life. He wants to live like a brahmachari, but with a wife, without, getting into the whole scene. But Prabhupada said that anyway, I can't see exactly. All right. So, a mild criticism of Lord Shiva for not supplying her with ornaments and other opulent things. But she wanted to go, as she says, I want to go there with you. There is a saying, a sort of a little saying that is not well known, but it's there, that the husband, or there is such a thing amongst ornaments. There's many different types of ornaments, like jewelry, that type of ornament. But ultimately, or anyway, maybe not just ultimately, but also there is the male ornament. That a good husband who's sort of respected and appreciated by others is a type of social asset to the wife when they're seen with the respectable husband and they know other people are noticing, oh yeah, he's a good man. Then it kind of feeds her sense of worth. So the problem is that even like we say, Srila Prabhupada didn't just allow, but he encouraged that ladies to some degree, even unmarried ladies, be able to have, as we see with our own eyes, and little jewelry, and that when married, the husband should see that they also have those types of things, at least to some degree. But one has to be very careful about these things. I remember I got somehow, many years ago, it was in the late 80s, I went to Mayapur and I received some money from my grandparents. I mean, not a lot, but something. And a couple of years before. And with that money, I got the sort of tiger's tooth, or whatever you call it, ornament which Krishna wears every day. And I bought something for myself. In India, I got a little kavacha, a little one. It was just a very small one of, like, whatever, 22 karat gold, solid gold. Not extremely expensive, but something. And I filled it with some nice transcendental things. And I got a little gold chain, and I was wearing it. And Giriraj Maharaj saw it. No kidding. And he very nicely told me that, I don't think it's so appropriate. So I took it off, and I guess I gave it away to someone. Yeah. So the point in principle is that, and it's so true, that it's not just ladies who have inclinations towards these types of things, material comforts and etc. But we all have that, the seed of material enjoyment is deeply, ensconced in our hearts. And every one of us, we got to watch out for these things. We got to watch out for these things. Srila Prabhupada talked about how in Grihastha life in Krishna consciousness, married life in Krishna consciousness, it's a type of a license for some sense gratification. Prabhupada said that on a number of occasions, particularly or most particularly referring to sex life. But the fact that one has a license for something doesn't mean that you can just do whatever you like with that thing. Like a driving license, a number of us here, we have driving licenses. I got my driving license when I was 15. My mother taught me to drive when I was 13. So just because you got a driving license doesn't mean you can just drive in whatever way you like. And when people stop you, when the police stop you for doing, say 200 kilometers an hour down the Higginson Highway, or even West Street, Durban, and they want to give you a ticket for speeding, you can't say to them, listen, wait a minute, look, I've got a license. Or, of course, a far more dramatic example, if you have a gun license and you shoot some people, you can't just say, hey, it's all right, I've got a license. Yes, so these types of licenses, they're all types of licenses for sense gratification, with potential for sense gratification. And as devotees, people are trying to get out of the material world and out of the whole, just self-centered sense gratification program. We have to be very mindful of these things. Otherwise, it's so easy to become influenced by the material nature. Yes. So in our own individual ways, we are attracted. We have that potential for attraction to material life. And we have to note that and be on guard and always try to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness, which is the foundational defense. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? Yes.
I wanted to ask about that variety of colors of clothing that we can wear. in India, in some places where there's traditional Vaishnavas, more of them in one place, let's say at Radhakund, we see that they all wear white. Either they renounced, as in our brahmacharis, or ladies, whoever, married, not married, widowed, not, they all wear white. And they say that it's traditional. So can you please comment on that?
It's traditional for those in the Paramahansa ashram, which is the 4th stage of sannyas. That's why you see pictures of the 6 Goswamis. You never see them wearing saffron. They're always wearing white. Yeah. So in the Paramahansa stage, a person is meant to be, I mean, if they actually are on that level of consciousness, then they are beyond Vana and Ashram. But we, our sannyasis, are in the meant to be in the Parivrajacacharya stage, which is the 3rd stage. And in that stage, you're meant to wear saffron. You're meant to wear it. Yeah. So the ladies, I mean, at least the theory is they're all the residents of Radhakund are meant to be Paramahansas. On a practical level of actual qualification, that may well be another thing. But that's the theory. Yeah, and definitely amongst the men, that they're taking a position of no position. Yeah. And the ladies also.
Thank you. I also wanted to clarify, I came across, I think, a little bit more renounced that I am. I shaved my head for practical reasons. I feel very hot in South Africa.
It's okay. We have noticed, and it's all right. Don't worry. Don't worry. You are you. Yeah. And Krishna has a special place for you in his entourage.
Maharaj, I was wondering, on the one hand, it may be easier if we did have some kind of uniform or uniform color, but then on the other hand, what kind of effect would that have on preaching if, I don't know, expression of individualism is not really there? People, how would they respond?
In some organizations, meaning, like Indian Vedic type, the women have uniforms. They do. Yeah. Usually of us, well, anyway, I don't know about usually, but sometimes or often, of a white sort of something to do with white. It may be white with some border or something. But what effect would it have? I don't know if it would really have much effect at all, actually. It might make Krishna consciousness less attractive for some ladies. That, I don't want to just, look like everyone else. But it also, and I think it would be the more important point, and as I understand, this is why Prabhupada, not just permitted, but encouraged that ladies wear, without extravagance, but, different nice colored saris and some jewelry, in a sort of conservative way, but, there would be that because the female nature, generally the female nature in many ways is different from the male nature. And it might be sort of, I don't know if you'd say frustrating, but just make things less interesting, say, for ladies, if they just have to wear the same thing, they would rather, have a little, express a little bit of their character in that way, in Krishna consciousness. I think that's would be more important than if people, outsiders, might think, what's wrong with these women? I don't think they would think that so much. Because in many companies, businesses, the people wear uniforms. Yeah. In many businesses, the ladies, the men, they have their uniforms. Like when I used to travel, I can't even remember, what are they called? The air hostesses, is that what they're called? They all wear uniforms. They all wear uniforms. And the ones like the supervisor has a different style of uniform, but they're all uniforms. But it appears, Prabhupada definitely said in regard to married ladies that the husbands should provide these things, to a limited degree, but they should provide some nice clothes, certain amount of ornamentation to their wives in recognition of female nature. Doesn't mean the wife has to. She doesn't have to. She prefers to do something different. Within reason, she can. As can you. Or as you do. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj. I had another question. At what stage of devotional service do we begin to recognize the special quality that Krishna reveals to us and to no one else?
An extremely high level. I think higher than any of us, much higher than any of us, yeah. So don't worry. When Prabhupada was asked, that sort of question about, how will it be on a higher, very high level, Prabhupada would sometimes say, just, don't worry, it'll be revealed in due course. You don't need to stress about it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.